This is your authors, Rebecca Wells Phillips, Rachel Blue, and Boo Black, coming to you live from Asheville, North Carolina. And the following is a reading from my book, Hurricane Helene Resiliency After the Storm. Prologue. Close your eyes and imagine yourself sitting in your mountain home, watching television while the pouring rain dances on the windows and pounds on your roof. I just realized I'm going to have to read with my glasses on. All right. Take two. Close your eyes and imagine yourself sitting in your mountain home, watching television while the pouring rain dances on the windows and pounds on your roof. In an abrupt sequence of events, your power flickers off and on in a rhythmic light show of flashes until it finally fails, throwing you into a pitch black abyss. Always prepared, you locate the flashlight with new batteries in your kitchen drawer and turn it on. With the sudden quiet from the power outage, you easily hear the heavy rain as it smacks and pounds your roof and windows. For the first time since the rain began, or since the rain became deafening, you steal a glance out the large pane window. As your mouth goes agape, your brain computes the reality of what you're seeing. A growing foreign body of raging water, resembling a tsunami, engulfs your house and property. As you search the driveway, you search for the vehicle that has disappeared below the turbulent water. Refocusing your attention inside your home, you glance down at the heavy oak front door and are shocked by the water appearing inside your once safe abode. At this moment, horror grips you like someone choking the end of a water hose, and you know that your home has become your prison and possibly your future coffin. As sweat begins beading on your forehead, your sweating armpits emit an unfamiliar stench that you identify as fear. Now is not the time to chastise your decision to stay inside your home. Everyone had assumed you would be safe in a brick house on the top of a hill. The river below had always remained within its banks, and no one could have foreseen how much water would overtake the area. Unfortunately, the preceding rainy days delivered a deluge of water before Helene's arrival. To your amazement, Hurricane Helene was becoming much more destructive than any news media had forecasted. Grabbing your cell phone to call for help, you are shocked to see that there is no signal and realize the phone is useless. Quickly, you walk into the kitchen to grab the cordless landline, only to remember that you canceled the service a couple of years ago when you needed to cut costs. Regret is a dead horse, and you decide not to revisit your decision because no one has landlines anymore. Just last week, you had the same discussion with your neighbor and now wonder whether his house beside the river survived the floodwaters. Thankfully, he had decided to stay with relatives in Arden, North Carolina, and not to risk anything. Returning to the living room, you shine your flashlight on the floor and glimpse a small pond spreading into the living space. Deciding to escape to higher ground, you grab your useless cell phone and run to the second floor. The master bedroom is at the end of the hall, so you hope you'll be safer there, but you can still hear the rushing water coming into your home. Slamming your bedroom door shut, your attention is grabbed by the sound of trees breaking in the distance. Pulling back the heavy curtains, you glance out the window and notice storm debris stacking up and hitting against the side of the house. Counting to 10 and breathing slowly, you try calming your nerves, but it doesn't help. Unable to do anything, you lie on your bed and pray for the water to recede or the rain to cease. As the hours pass, you keep looking at your phone, which only has 36% of its battery, and continue trying to make a call. Erroneously, you had believed a cell phone would always be reliable, no matter what the situation. When you purchased your phone, the service provider assured you that emergency or SOS calls would always work. However, during an actual emergency, you want to scream at the loss of signal icon. Now you notice the SOS letters on the screen, but you have no idea how to use the service. Excitedly, you finally remember that you can send SMS text to your family and friends and ask them to send help. Unfortunately, when you attempt to text, you receive the error message failed. Frustration overtakes reality, and you realize you are completely alone, forced to figure out a way to save yourself. Leaving the false safety of your bedroom, you investigate the water situation downstairs. Feeling a pang of hunger, you consider wading through the water to grab a snack from the kitchen to eat, foolishly berating yourself for not considering it sooner. With your flashlight in hand, you slowly walk to the stairs, only expecting to see a little more water on the first floor. However, as you get closer, the deafening sound of gushing water takes you by surprise. Directing the beam of light down the hallway, you are horrified to see that water is splashing against the top step of the second floor, with branches, clothing, and other unknown debris. The odor of mud, gas, and chemicals emanates from the dark abyss. Abruptly, you turn around and sprint back to your prison, slamming the door, knowing there is no way out of this predicament. Lying down on your king size bed, you softly cry and say your prayers that no one will hear. Following the days after Hurricane Helene ravaged the state of North Carolina, along with 6 other states, I was disheartened to read online comments such as, "Why didn't they leave?" And "How did they not know the storm would be so bad?" Perhaps these questions are just a way for people to blame the victims for their disastrous outcomes, naively thinking that any amount of preparation would have saved them from the mudslides or flooding. Residing in the mountains of Tennessee and North Carolina, I am confident that everyone's last concern was evacuating their homes. If there had never been a need for people living a considerable distance from the waterways to evacuate, why would anyone feel the need to leave? In this painfully realistic situation, I want you to ask yourself the following questions. What would you do if you were faced with the same scenario? As you read the story above, did you blame the homeowner for not evacuating, or were you empathetic to their imminent danger? Were you frozen in fear as you relived and envisioned the unsettling event? Imagine the same story, but replace the water with a mudslide that suddenly appeared without warning in the dark of the night. Take away the flashlight and consider how most people aren't prepared enough to have a working flashlight. Imagine people hearing the rushing water surrounding them and unable to see the danger without a light source. When living in the mountains, hurricanes don't concern anyone, and evacuating a home has never been necessary for individuals living far away from the waterways. As with what happened with Hurricane Katrina, many people in North Carolina lack the financial resources to escape a dire situation, even with ample warning. Also, don't forget about the people who are sick, elderly, or disabled who are barely hanging on to their livelihoods. In today's economy, people struggle to survive paycheck to paycheck, often lacking sufficient funds for necessities such as food, housing, and utility bills. Who can afford to pack up their belongings and escape to safety when it's never been necessary? Believe it or not, many commuters rely on bus transportation just to get to their jobs, and during a hurricane, these services are often halted for the safety of both drivers and passengers. And without phone service, calling an Uber is out of the question. Thank you for your time. Good night.